Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Music Writing, Ranking, and Reading podcast I like to call Music Meltdown, in which we are back on the Albums of the Year series. We bid Patrick a farewell, and I have Taavi here to discuss a decade that's very close to his heart, the 1980s. The decade of the synthesizer is really how I would describe it. Just tons of synth all throughout it. 1980, bit of a transitional year, but you definitely get new wave creeping in a bit more, some more fun pop stuff. Sabi, how you feel about 1980 as a year?
Yeah, great year. Obviously, I would probably say that most of the years we're gonna say, but I think this year has the most 5 stars for me, actually. I'm pretty sure.
Interesting.
And yeah, I'm gonna have some like Taavi core picks maybe, but some maybe not so.
We'll see.
And it'll be interesting. How about you?
I gotta say, it's interesting that you say that 1980 might have the most 5 stars for you, because I actually don't have a single five in 1980. But I have
Ooh.
7 records at 4.5 stars, so I have 7 legitimately great albums this year. And there's kind of an asterisk with the 7 because I didn't include the Pretenders debut album. There's kind of a
Mm.
50-50 debate on that being like 79, 80. It came out in the last week of 1979 in the US, I believe. So that's where I'm counting it. Although, if I was counting it for 1980, it might take the whole year. So, that being said, let's just kick into things. I got a few honorable mentions here. First one was on my list for most of this, but I just kicked it out. It's going to be Boy by U2. One of my favorite U2 records, probably their most fun. I would say just hard charging energy all throughout it with great riffs by The Edge. And the next album, one that I think might make your list, and we're kind of in the minority on, I got Flesh and Blood by Roxy Music. I love Roxy Music. If they exist, except for Avalon, they'll make my list. So, and that being said, let's get into the top five. Number 5 for me, going to be Argy Bargy by Squeeze. Just a really great new wave record. I think it's Squeeze, very Elvis Costello infused sort of pop post punk, man. Really dig him a lot. I think Argy Bargy probably don't like it quite as much as Cool for Cats, but still really love it. Number 4, I'm going with XTC and Black Sea. Probably their biggest post punk record. It's for me just a natural step up from everything they were doing beforehand. Tons of great songs on here. I think Generals and Majors is probably my favorite. Number 3, one that I'm really glad that made it on here. I got Uprising by Bob Marley and the Wailers, the final record that he made in his lifetime. And it's just really great. Um, I think it's Confrontation's song. I'm not totally sure the name of it would be my sort of song choice if I was recommending it to somebody. Redemption song, Redemption song. Really great record. Number 2 for me could be number 1, but I decided to switch it around. I got Crazy Rhythms by the Feelies, possibly an album with my favorite guitar sound ever. It's just super jangly, super post punk, sort of angular riffs. I love it a lot. They do a cover of the Beatles. Everyone's got something to hide except me and my monkey, which I always remark as being one of my favorite covers ever. It's a really great record. But my number 1, I don't know. I feel like you're going one of two ways. I don't know if this will be your number 1. I'm kind of thinking it's probably going to be Peter Gabriel, but my winner, 4.5 star album, gonna be Scary Monsters and Super Creeps by David Bowie. I love Bowie, arguably my favorite artist of all time. This being the album that came just after Lodger, you still have some of those sort of new wave and post punk influences, but there's a great pop sheen across here. Of course, the massive hit Ashes to Ashes, which is incredible, but Teenage Wildlife is really like a culmination and a showcase of who Bowie is as an artist and there in of itself. I love the two It's No Games and really just all the rest of the songs fill it out brilliantly. It's practically a 5 for me. I think if I listen to it one more time, I'll give it the bump. But for what it is, I have it at 4.5 stars. I think it's a really great record. Loved a lot. My winner of 1980, Scary Monsters and Super Creeps by David Bowie.
Nice, nice. Um, I we don't have a lot in common, but I guess some. And I think I can say a few honorable mentions if I got it correctly. And I'm just gonna shout out some couple of albums. Rush, Permanent Waves, missed my list. I do love it a lot actually, but maybe some of these Rush albums I've heard so much over the years that it's not as fresh anymore. Then I have Stevie Wonder, Hotter Than July, which I love. The Police, Sin jättää mun data, and Van Halen, Women and Children First, and then the one that misses my list is David Bowie, Scary Monsters and Super Creeps, which I do love also, but just maybe I don't have as much. I haven't listened that too many times yet, so it could go higher. But yeah, I love some of those songs like Ashes to Ashes and Teenage Wildlife. But yeah, my actual list, number 5 is Roxy Music, Flesh and Blood. Yeah, I love 80s Roxy music. And I love Brian Ferry's voice. He's one of my favorite voices, and this is just a fun album. Like they started to get maybe popular in, I don't know, in Siren or at least in Manifesto, if not earlier. And this has just the 80s sound to it, kind of like a sophisti-pop type of thing. And yeah, a bunch of great songs like Oh Yeah, Same Old Scene. I like the cover to 8 Miles High. Over You is great. And yeah, a bunch of great songs. Love it a lot. Then an album that's maybe surprising that I really enjoy is Closer by Joy Division. Is my number 4. And yeah, it's acclaimed album, so maybe it's in a way not a shock, but it's not really a Taavi core album necessarily. But I just love the mood to it. It's like kind of dark and bleak, but there's also like synthesizers and coming, and yeah, the Eternal is my favorite song here, and it's just a very cool mood piece. And yeah, Ian Curtis vocals they're like not the best in the world, obviously, but I can tolerate them, I guess. But my number 3 is Gaucho by Steely Dan, which is certainly my type of music, and this yacht rock, jazz rock type of deal, and I love every song on it. It just sounds amazing, and great playing and great use of musician players, and yeah, Time Out of Mind is probably my favorite song of it, and love the Mark Knopfler solo on it. Yeah, just a great Steely Dan album, although Asia is my actual favorite. And number 2 is a band we've talked about in this channel, Talking Heads with Remain in Light. Such a cool album, and so many styles in this album, and so many moods, but it's still Talking Heads, and I love Listening Wind, my favorite song on it, and it's so moody, and yeah, and Once in a Lifetime is the most well-known song here, and it's great too. And it's kind of like this explosion of like new wave and experimental music, and it's still kind of funky and dance oriented. So yeah, a cool album. But yeah, my number one, you said it. It's Peter Gabriel, Melt, or Peter Gabriel 3, and yeah, it's just it's very art rock, but it's still poppy. It's still catchy. It's fun to listen to actually, and I pretty much love every song. Um, I'm not as fan of the Lead a Normal Life, but it still works on the album, and obviously you get the Phil Collins drum sound from this that Phil and the production team worked on it, and so starts with Intruder, which is a very cool song, very dark, and ends with Pico, which is like this political number. And yeah, I love it a lot. I love Peter Gabriel in Genesis and in his solo career. Yeah, my number one from 1980.
Nice list, nice list. I gotta say, some of the stuff at the top, it's like it feels like stuff that I should like more than I do, but it's like I just don't really get that into it. For example, I like
Hmm.
Melt, but it's probably like my fourth favorite Peter Gabriel album. Um,
Hmm.
I can't get into Joy Division. I've tried, just something about them doesn't quite do it for me. And I
Yep.
mean, you know my stance on Talking Heads. I mean, for me, they're kind of like they peaked initially and then it's just downhill, which I know you're totally in a different landscape with.
Yeah.
Yeah. But no, nice list, nice list. Glad to see it. Ooh, Bowie just missing. That might be the closest that either of an album we both love makes each other's lists. I don't know. We'll see. And
I don't know.
I don't know what I figure I'll mention this now because I'm not gonna bring him up again. I know you will though. Rush. Rush are like
Hmm.
perennially stuck at 4 stars for me. I don't have any album above it, so I'm not gonna bring them up. But I guarantee like every Rush album from the 80s would be in at least my top 15. Except for Presto, not Presto. Presto kind of stinks. But we
Hmm.
shall see if Presto holds in 1989 for Taavi.
Oh, yeah.
That being said, I hope that you all enjoyed this part. Mention down below your lists and give your opinions on how stupid I am for not getting Joy Division. You all have a great one.